Alright, on the compass there's three main parts that you need to know. This is called the direction of travel arrow. This is the magnetic north arrow. And this arrow here is the orienteering arrow. Now, when it comes to finding your bearing, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to need to turn the dial to the number that the bearing says. So if the bearing says 210, you dial that 210 right along this line here on the direction of travel arrow line. So when you're moving, you'll be traveling in 210. And then what you have to do is you have to turn your compass so that the red north, magnetic north, lines up with that orienteering arrow, so right there. So now if I were to walk in this direction, I would actually be walking at 210 degrees. So that's really about all it is. You dial in the bearing, you orientate the compass so that that red arrow points to north, and then you just take a path directly in that direction. Now when you get to the station is just going to be a traffic cone or some other marker with this kind of information on it. So you can see that we're at station 5, that the next bearing is 274 degrees, that the next distance to the next traffic cone is 35 steps, and that the code word is cactus. Now the code word is there is just to prove that you have actually been to this location. So on our record sheet, what I would do is I would go to make sure that I'm at station 5. As this is my first station, I have to make sure I write my information down here, because when I get to station 18, I'll need to go back up to station 1, 2, 3, and 4 to finish off the whole course. So that's really key, because in years gone past, kids have always put their information on station 1, but they may have been starting on station 14. So anyway, station 5, I'm going to write down my bearing, which is 274, and my distance is 35, and my code word is cactus. Okay, so the bearing was 274. So let me just go over once again how to read the bearing numbers. So you can see that the major numbers are written in groups of 30. So 30, 60, east is actually 90, 120, 150. And then in between these numbers you have some larger ticks. So these are groups of 10. So there's 30, there's 40, there's 50, and then there's 60. And then in between those two longer ticks are 5 smaller ticks. So there's 30, there's 40, you got 5 ticks in between. That means each one of these is worth 2. So there's 30, there's 32, 34, and so on. Now we need to get to 274. So I'm just going to rotate my compass housing until I get to a number sort of that I can figure out. Okay, so there's 240. So that's 240. That means that tick has to be 250. That's 260, and 270 is actually right on west. So I'm just going to line 270 up with this red travel arrow line. So there's 270. So 274 would be, there's 272, and then the next one over is 274. So 274 would be right there. Okay, so now I've dialed in 274, but the trick is I need to get this red arrow pointing into north. Now what I usually do is I tell everybody to hold the compass right close to your chest, because beginners, what they usually do or often do is they rotate the compass to match it, but they don't rotate themselves because it's you that's going to travel. So what I'm going to do is I want to get that red arrow to face north. So I'm going to just slowly turn around until its red is into north, which is right there. So now this arrow here is facing 274. So all I do now is I look straight ahead and I find a tree or a fence post or something that's not going to move, and I keep my eyes on that and I walk the number of steps that the card tells me to walk.